David Benavidez, who's willing, able, and ready to fight you. It's not a situation where there's no one to fight. There's a perfect guy to fight. It is a Mexican matchup. It's an awesome fight. Stylistically, it's a good fight. It's someone that's been calling it out and someone who's been performing. The fight makes perfect sense. Regardless of whether Canelo wins that fight or not, I think that fight needs to happen, even for Canelo's legacy. I think he goes there and he fights the top dog, and he goes out like great Mexican warriors do. He loses to the next in line. He can go and play PGA golf, wherever he wants to do. But that fight has to happen.
Chris, what do you make of all of this with Canelo fighting JERMALL, then Benavidez in September, and then Munguia, who is deserving, if he gets past John Ryder, kind of out of the loop here?
I love how cryptic PBC keeps it in terms of, what their schedule is going to be. They're not going to tell you the whole schedule. We're just going to say maybe on this March 30th date there's going to be a fight, and then it may seem like Canelo's going to be May 4th. Of course Canelo's going to be May 4th. That's the Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's supposed to be there. The fact that it's going to be against JERMALL Charlo is a disgrace. Yeah. No one wants this fight. This fight is for no one other than JERMALL and the PBC and the deal that they have in place with Canelo. And I guess it's for Canelo too, because I think it's a very, very winnable fight. But I don't know. This fight's going to be a hard pill to swallow, unless I hear that David Benavidez gets the winner, which we're going to assume is going to be Canelo. Unless we hear that David Benavidez and Canelo is going to happen in September, this fight is all but unacceptable. I don't understand how you can make this fight. JERMALL has had one fight in the past 2.5 years, and he fought a former 47-pounder, honestly, and he went the distance with him. He didn't look bad at all. But we're talking about Canelo Alvarez, who has been streaking and busy and working, and is, one of the faces of the sport, if not the face of the sport in terms of the money. So the fact that this fight is the fight that is being jammed down our throats, I think is despicable.
Yeah. George, what do you make of this situation here with Canelo Alvarez and PBC and Charlo and Benavidez?
Despicable, like Chris said. As boxing fans and people in the industry, we're like programmed to just accept this. Like, oh, it's a money thing. This fight, it's a horrible fight. Boxing fans should be in an uproar. Canelo fans should be in an uproar, but they won't be because it doesn't matter to them who Canelo fights. Man, I'm getting in arguments. We just did a show on Canelo, who's the man, and Teddy Atlas didn't have Canelo as #1. I found myself going back and forth with these Canelo fans, and Paulie, you're right. You can't. Don't let them bait you. Don't try and talk sense into them, because you just can't do it. This is a terrible fight. Think about it as a sport, just a sports fan. Why is JERMALL Charlo getting a shot at the guy who's got all the belts at 168? David Benavidez, some people think he's the best fighter at 168. Say he's #2. He's been #2 for how long? And he still hasn't got a shot? Aren't you supposed to, when you're a champion, you're supposed to defend against the best fighter? And not in boxing. It's who can make you the most money. In other sports, they don't do that. In the NBA Finals, if it's the Lakers and the Lakers don't say, you know what, we're going to bypass these guys and we're going to play the Nets instead. We'll play the Celtics in the next round. No, it's only in boxing. And we talk about it, but so many fans and people, it's just, oh, that's boxing. That's how it goes. That it's a money thing. And Chris, you said it correctly. George, what do I think of the fight? I think it's despicable because he doesn't deserve the fight. But hey, in boxing, doesn't matter if you deserve it or not. Things happen.
Well, just very quickly before you go, Paulie, I want to remind everyone, you want to check out Who's the Man as they talk about each of them talk about their top 3 in super at 168 at the super middleweight. And also the David Benavidez interview was excellent as well. You want to check out those 2 on our YouTube channel also. All right, Paulie, what do you make of this situation?
I think, I've said it for a while. I don't think Canelo's ever going to fight David Benavidez. And I think with this particular fight here, Munguia was the front runner, at least the rumored front runner. This is not definitively signed yet. This is just a rumor as well. So and you know what I'm going to think about it. And I love just, giving it to the Canelo blowhards, because they're like George talks about trying to reason with them. Why would you try to reason with low IQ losers? I mean, it's like if you're a groupie willingly and by design, I mean, there's no reason to argue with you. You want to be right. I mean, Canelo could defecate right on your front porch, and you go scoop it up and plant it into your garden in the back, and brag about it to your friends too. I mean, instead of being mad. I mean, these are the kind of people. I mean, you're about the same level. Okay. Yeah. Once you start to get to the point where you lose logic and reasoning, it's bad. And so you know what? I'm the guy that I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you when when I can, and I'm going to call you out on it. It's for your own good, guys. Right. I mean, I don't feel like it's ever healthy for a grown adult to be a groupie. So a fan of the sport, even, you know, we lean towards certain fighters. I was always a fan of Arturo Gatti growing up. But when Gotti fought Mayweather, and there were guys in Gleason's gym when I was coming up the ladder, and they were like, oh, Gotti, what if he hits him with that shot? What if he hits him? I was telling people, Gotti was my favorite fighter, and I was telling people, guys, Floyd's actually going to stop him. Floyd's going to stop him. Yeah. So, you know, you can love a fighter, you can even be a fan of a fighter, but you still have to be within a reasonable, logical conversation.
Yeah, you got to take the rose-colored glasses off.
And when you discuss the sport as a whole, if you want to be taken seriously. So, no, I don't. You know, George, bless you for having the patience to try to convince these people. I just insult them. I mean, because you don't deserve my respect if you're a groupie. You know what I mean? So like I said, I mean, I'm gonna stay with what I said originally, which he's never gonna fight David Benavidez. So that I told you was gonna come later. But I think this one in particular, I'm gonna save myself for later. I'm gonna save it for when this fight gets signed because I don't want to jump the gun. You know, I want to be able to give the benefit of the doubt. And again, like we were talking about in another show when we were talking about Lomachenko and Kambosos, I don't have a problem with Lomachenko fighting Kambosos, but the title shouldn't be on the line. Right here is the same thing. Canelo fighting JERMALL Charlo. Canelo can do anything he wants. He's earned the right for it. But no, this fight should not be for a world championship. But when you're holding all of the titles, and then this is the defense you're making, and you're purposely not giving more deserving guys title shots, and you're purposely avoiding them, well, then it's a problem because now the world championship is on the line, and then it becomes a problem. And if you want to be that level of star, and you want to do that, then you've also got to be willing to, you know, make sure that, you know, you understand that people are going to call you out on stuff like this, you know? So Canelo has the right to do whatever he wants, but he should be stripped of all the titles for doing this, you know? The champ Chris said this is JERMALL just fought an ex-welterweight. No, JERMALL just fought an ex-super lightweight. Okay, Benavidez was a 140-pounder when he was a prospect to be watched.
Yeah, we were actually coming. We fought a lot of the same guys, him and I.
So you know, this is the one win that JERMALL is coming off of in after a 2 or 3 year layoff. And with the stacked, we always talk about how stacked 168 is. That it might be the second most stacked weight class in boxing behind 140 pounds. With a division this stacked, the undisputed champion is continuing to create a logjam at the top of it by not giving the contenders the title shot. So he should either be stripped and then he can continue to fight, you know, the JERMALL Charlos of the world. Or if he does this and he's not stripped, well, then, you know what? Reality's going to have to step in. Somebody's going to have to talk logically because we're not all groupies here. That's why we have this job and you guys watch us.
I'm as close to a Canelo fan as we're going to get on this show, and you and I butt our heads all the time. If he does not fight Benavidez this year, I'm going right with you. I'm going to turn into a Canelo hater just as much as Paul.
And mind you, I'm like this, not so much to be a hater. I do it for your own good, guys. I'm trying to prevent something bad from happening before it happens. So therefore, if I criticize it as soon as it's happening, maybe this won't become a habit. But because I'm outnumbered by all you blowhards, you know, I'm a man on an island by myself, and that's why this keeps happening. That's why he goes and fights the guy who drops you off today in the Uber. Tomorrow he'll fight the guy who made your sandwich down the street at the delicatessen. Tomorrow he'll fight the guy you drop your clothes off at the laundromat, and he'll defend world titles against them. Sorry, guys, it can't happen this way, not for world championships. I said it in the other show, this guy was a very good fighter, man. I mean, again, the guy that fought Golovkin, even though I don't think he won in those early fights, he was a very good fighter. The guy that fought Plant, the guy that fought Saunders, that Canelo right there, that guy's not there anymore, though, guys. But he's still holding these titles. So he either has to give them up, or he's got to fight the proper guy that deserves these titles. Because, again, you're creating a logjam at the top. This is for the sake of boxing. You know what I'm saying? This is not a situation where, like, we're going to let you get away with it because you're so popular. You know what? Maybe we're used to kissing your ass, but not here. Can't do it.
That was my point. That's my point about why he's got to fight Benavidez. And listen, if he fights JERMALL Charlo, and then we have the Benavidez fight in September, maybe that's one fight or two, whatever. Regardless, he goes out there and he fights the top of the division, the young stud who's there, the next in line. I think David Benavidez is going to be the future of the sport. Canelo's in the twilight of his career, no doubt about it. But
guys,
if he goes and fights David Benavidez
in September,
win, lose, or draw, I am gonna respect Canelo for taking that route and taking on the toughest guy possible, which is what you're supposed to do.
Hold up, fellas. George, you got something to say real quick? Go ahead.
Can I just point something out? JERMALL Charlo isn't ranked by anyone at 168.
Well,
so this would be JERMALL Charlo didn't have a ranking. They let that happen. Now JERMALL is not ranked by anyone at 168. So, but you know, boxing, they'll slip him in at 10 if that fight is
he'll be in the rankings because
the point to that is what the champ was saying is that the weight class is deep. If it was a barren division, if it was 160, for example, and you start pulling guys from other weight classes to fight the man who's at 160, totally get it. But we're not in that situation.
Right.
We have a #1 contender. We have a bona fide #2, which some people actually have him as #1. Our great Teddy Atlas on air yesterday said he's got him at #1. David Benavidez, who's willing, able, and ready to fight you. It's not a situation where there's no one to fight. There's a perfect guy to fight. It is a Mexican matchup. It's an awesome fight. Stylistically, it's a good fight. It's someone that's been calling it out and someone who's been performing. The fight makes perfect sense. Regardless of whether Canelo wins that fight or not, I think that fight needs to happen, even for Canelo's legacy. I think he goes there and he fights the top dog, and he goes out like great Mexican warriors do. He loses to the next in line, he can go and play PGA golf, wherever he wants to do. But that fight has to happen.
But that's the thing. Like we're talking about. We were off air. We were talking about if Canelo fights Charlo. Okay, now if he fights Charlo and then he does fight Benavidez in September, it's only a few months away.
I'll take it.
It's palatable.
Yeah.
We're still lowering our standards, though. I shouldn't have to sit through this fight with Charlo just to get the Benavidez fight. And I still don't think he's going to fight Benavidez even in September. Don't get me wrong. But let's say, for argument's sake, he would. I still got to sit through this fight first. Why do I have to lower my standards? This is for the undisputed title here. I've already lowered my standards to watch the third GGG fight, to watch the Ryder fight. When you got Benavidez and Morel, they'll hit weight class the whole time.
The JERMALL fight, JERMALL Charlo.
JERMALL Charlo, who showed up just for a check and went home. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing? This is the deepest weight class in boxing. If it was not, like Chris said, it's palatable. But you know what? This is the second deepest weight class in boxing. And there's too many good fighters here not being able to get their deserved title shots because of this situation. I mean, the PBC just signed Canelo to make a couple of checks for their fighters and for themselves? Possibly. I mean, listen, they signed him and they're basically just giving him one gimme and then another gimme. And then I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happens in September. We can pray for Benavidez, but even then, you still lowered your standards that you had to sit through these two fights first. I mean, you basically just, let's steal this fight. Let's steal the money here. Let's steal the money here.
Well, listen, if Benavidez fights around the same time, and when Canelo if it is Charlo, because we are jumping the gun a little bit. We're saying that it's Charlo.
No, he's the presumed front runner.
So if we have an opportunity where we have a Canelo Charlo fight, and then Benavidez fights around the same time. It's almost like back in the day when guys used to fight in the same card, or that you'd have the guy sitting ringside. It gets a little juice pumped into that fight for September. And like you said, it's a quick enough turnaround. I can live with it because I want that. We need that Benavidez Canelo fight so bad.
Remember when we interviewed Benavidez, what he said? He said he was going to try to get the Charlo fight so that he could take away one of the possible opponents that Canelo would use to duck him. He wanted to get the Charlo fight. In the meantime, if Canelo was going to fight Munguia. And we talked about, okay, then maybe he fights Charlo the week before Canelo fights Munguia, and this way he shows up to the Munguia fight with press momentum behind him, kind of having just beaten Charlo. Obviously, and he said he was going to call Al Heyman, and he said he was going to call the PBC guys to tell them to make the Charlo fight so that he could take away one of the opponents from Canelo. Dude,
not anymore.
Obviously they told him, no, bro, we're going to reserve this guy for Canelo. I mean, obviously. How much more effort does somebody have to put to duck a guy?
George, I got something real quick. I know we
got
to wrap up, but I should have waited till off air to do this. But Paulie, I just got a text. Your Canelo fan club fees are due. I think you're late with your payment, so you might want to get that sent in.
I'm an honorary member for life. Okay. No dues needed.
Do you know the exchange rate of U.S. dollars to Mexican pesos, just in case?
No, bro. It's like Dick Champ Chris said, man. I mean, I would give him a lot more credit if he goes out on a shield against Benavidez. I would.
Like every great Mexican legend always
has. Like every great Mexican legend. Chavez fought De La Hoya.
In those guys, no one looks at Chavez and goes, yeah, but that De La Hoya fight. No one does that. No one does that. So that's my whole point about the legacy. I don't think it affects Canelo's legacy if he were to go out and fight Benavidez.
It'll give him the respectability, actually.
I agree. I think it bumps up because he's giving that next shot to the next guy. And listen, I think it's a good fight either way. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion. that Benavidez wins. I can see Canelo still having enough.
But don't enable it, champ, because this is exactly why. This is exactly why he doesn't fight them, because he wants to leave that thing in the air. Like, oh no, he'd win, because then if he wins, he gets run over. He can't say that anymore. Yeah. Instead, if he doesn't fight him, there's enough people that think I would win, so let me just let them think that and never do it. No, we're not enabling this. I think he gets run over like a truck by Benavidez. But you know what? I also give respect, like a Mexican warrior should get his respect for doing it that way, like they've all done before him.
Paulie, you got to save the energy.
This is why boxing, this is what Mexican culture is one of the reasons boxing is so big. They're the ones that have a lot of the big fighters.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're the ones who kind of carry the mantle generation after generation. They have the big fan base. But there's a reason why they have the big fan base. It's also because they stand by their guys so difficult, so staunchly. Okay, well, some of you are blowhards, I get it. But nonetheless, there's a reason to stand by you guys so staunchly when he's this brave, when he's going out like a warrior, when he's going in like a warrior, when he's going out like a warrior. Chavez did it, and like the champ said, nobody talks about Chavez like, oh, great career, but that De La Hoya fight. No, they don't do that because you know why? Your body of work overcomes it, and then you're given the respect. You know what? He didn't duck all the way to the end. He didn't duck. All the way to the end. What are we doing now? Now we're enabling it? What are we doing?
We always talk about Mexican warriors, and that's exactly what it is. There's a culture on fighting, and there's a culture on going out on your shield.
Right.
And this is what goes against that, is if this fight doesn't happen. But regardless, that fight happens, and I'm sticking to it. I still think that Canelo could possibly win. I'm saying he will, but I'm not saying like you're saying he's going to get run over. He could. It could happen, but I don't know. And that's why I want this fight to happen, because I don't know. I want to see it. And by every Mexican standard, every legend of the past goes out this way. If Canelo doesn't do that, I think it's a knock on him.
Yeah.
To your point, Barrera, Morales, Marquez, they all fought the guys. They all fought everyone. This fight, to everyone's point, if he doesn't fight Benavidez, it hurts his legacy. It hurts his legacy.
And everybody already knows. Listen, it's not the same Canelo. We get it. Like I said, the guy. I didn't think he beat Golovkin in those fights, but that's still that's a world-class. Tough dude,
those fights are awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Like fight 2, I thought he got slightly outboxed. But man, the way he approached it after fight 1, the way he changed the game plan, you still got to give that credit. That only a world-class fighter can do that. Stopping Plant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
stopping Saunders, you know, like.
I was at that Saunders fight. That was insanity.
You know, like we get it, dude. It's not the same guy, but he's holding the undisputed titles.
Right.
He cannot do this. It's against everything the sport is supposed to stand for, man. Can't do it.
Well, and I get the sense.
Commiserating, can't do it. You know, where's Goodfellas line? You know, can't do it.
Boxing doesn't
Gotta go
stand
back
for
to your
that
wife.
anymore.
Can't do it. Your wife is the undisputed title. Defend it right. Can't do it. Can't be cheating like this. Commiserating, can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Go home. Gotta go home, Henry.
Yeah,
go home.
The only thing Paulie watches more than boxing is movies.
Movies, yeah. But I get the sense that Jaime Munguia is the one that's maybe getting screwed over the most here.
No.
He doesn't deserve a shot either. He doesn't deserve a shot.
There's too many guys already getting screwed over. No.
But if he beats Ryder,
What? Don't enable this, because he's liable to fight Charlo and then Munguia instead, and we still don't get Benavidez.
Benavidez is the
I'm saying all this.
Benavidez is the fight.
I'm saying all this to put the pressure. I'm trying to avoid a disaster, guys. If I do this and then we get the Benavidez fight, you can thank me later, okay? I'm doing this to put the full court press. I'm making the right fights happen here. Let's not enable he might still win if he doesn't fight him, you know, but I don't know if he's gonna fight him, but he might beat him. No, let's put the press on. Fight has to happen. Or, you know, anybody, you know, Munguia kind of feel bad for him too. No, I want to see Benavidez. That's all I want to see. I want to see Canelo Benavidez. It's the best fight that can be made at the weight class for the undisputed title. And then the winner should fight Morrell. I don't want to see, because then no matter who wins that fight, Morrell. That's it. The weight class of great fighters all deserve to fight each other.
That might be the biggest fight in the sport, honestly.
For Benavidez and Canelo.
Benavidez-Canelo might be the biggest fight in the sport. I mean, I'm trying to rack my brain quickly about what could be bigger than that.
Like level with Crawford Spence, like that level, or maybe even more because it's Canelo.
Bigger because it's happening at the right time for David Benavidez. He's young.
When they're young.
And also Canelo is more popular than Crawford and Spence combined.
Yeah, I think maybe the only other fight I've really think about that would be commercially would be at the Tyson Fury Joshua fight over in England. But in terms of what's a really good fight and a good matchup and one that's really important and matters for years to come, it's Charlo. It's Canelo Benavidez.
It can put boxing on the map.
Yes.
Every major sports network would cover that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason it shouldn't happen.
We know Benavidez and Canelo is not going to happen in May. So who should Canelo fight?
We don't know anything, but
May?
it's most likely.
We don't know anything.
They're not going to fight in May. So George, who should Canelo fight in May as part of that 3-fight deal with PBC?
You know what? I'm following Paulie's lead. Benavidez. No one else. No one else. That's who he should fight. Benavidez.
In May. Okay.
I don't know, guys. I said I wasn't going to get ahead of myself. Now you guys made me get ahead of myself. No. Let's wait for the announcement.
Okay.
I'm not getting ahead of myself.
I love the way you started this. I'll save it. Save it for what?
But
I wanted to just give my opinion, so maybe I can we can avoid disasters, because we're all going into it together, right, guys? The fans, the critics, the commentators, we're all going into it. None of us want to walk into a bad situation, right, guys?
Right.
So the bad situation will be the big fight not happening. So let's not enable it, but at the same time, let's criticize it the right way. And let's wait for the announcement.
Paulie's gonna go in the back, sit down with a stress ball. So I don't need the blood pressure to be too high. It's too early in the year. We got a long year ahead of us. A lot of boxing to cover. So.
Woosah.
I was gonna say
meditation. Meditation.
I was gonna say save it for sparring sessions, Paulie. That's great. All right. Don't forget to download the app, subscribe, and take some meditation as well here on ProBox TV. And don't forget, sportsbetting.ag is the official online bettor for Wednesday night fights here on ProBox TV. Man, I can't wait to see the announcement of who Canelo Alvarez will be fighting next. Hopefully, we all agree it's David Benavidez in May, but we'll see what happens. That does it for Top Stories. Take care, everyone. This is ProBox TV, your boxing channel.